Hello and welcome back to Lumin Weekly. Yes, I'm outside again. It's raining this time. Nero's here too. Hello Nero. He's gonna keep me company. Along with you guys, obviously. This is a bad position. I should sit a bit back. There you go. Much better. I hope you can hear me properly because, I don't know, I want to do it outside again. It's a bit chilly, but I got a nice thick top on. But Helene's busy inside and she's making a noise and I don't want to bother her too much. Okay? So, last week's topic was MMOs, and there were a lot of big responses. I gotta say, well, there weren't a lot. There were some big responses. There were one or two small responses, but mostly Bob T. Godfish and Fenno sent me some like pretty huge responses. And along with that, I've actually got Bob T. Godfish's response from his history of gaming. So we're gonna throw that in here as well. It's gonna be a lot. I'm warning you right now, this is probably gonna be a long one again. And I'm fine with that. I mean, I think it's nice that one or two people are sending in these long ones every now and then. I know it's sort of dependent on the topics, but I think it gives everyone just, like, it's something nice to listen to. I absolutely love hearing about people's gaming history. You could maybe hear about things that you didn't know about. Some people might say, you know, it's too long, why do you spend so much time on each person's response? But I think it's cool that way. I mean, it gives you a bit of variety. I mean, before we had a lot of, in the previous Lumin Weeklies, a lot of smaller responses, a lot of smaller questions and answers. So this is it's a nice change. I just hope this roof doesn't start leaking anytime soon, because that would be terrible. Did you see? Faster than a speeding bullet. Did you see that? He's gonna be back any second now. There. He's gonna put on a show for us today. Okay, so keep watching. If only for that. But let's start with the shorter responses first. So first from Carl Blemming. I made it to the end, he says. Okay, so he did watch the rest of that, the whole hour long of the previous weekly. He says this is just from previous week's response again. I love it. He's such an active dog. He's getting exercise now because he's actually scared that I'm not going to take him for a walk, but I am. He doesn't know it, but I am. I mean, are you seeing this? I know it's a bit bright because I had to set the brightness up, but do you see this here? He's a little clown. Oh, anyway. Okay, I'm going to try ignore that. I'm not going to be able to. So this is from the previous week's gaming history. He says he forgot to mention Escape Velocity, which was only on the Mac, but he thinks there's a Windows version now. This was a space game where you had a ship. You're a ship captain that makes money by carrying passengers and cargo between planets. When you earn enough, you can buy a better ship, outfit it with weapons and shields. As you advance in the game, planets start hiring you to go on missions. There's lots of 2D combat and dogfighting also. That was a good one. That sounds like an older version of EVE Online or Freelancer. I don't know if you guys played Freelancer. I absolutely enjoyed Freelancer. It was a really good game. And that, I don't know if that came out before or after EVE Online. I can't remember. But both those games are really cool. I mean, EVE Online... Carl Blemming, you must love EVE Online then, because that's exactly what this is. EVE Online is that and more. Just it's obviously a newer version, and the nice thing is there's obviously real people involved, and that fits in nicely with our MMO topic. EVE Online to me, I mean, I'm just sort of shoving this in here, but now to me is probably, I'm gonna say it's. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to. Probably the best MMO out there at the moment. I don't even play it right now, and I've actually never subscribed to it. I played for 14 days in their trial version. I loved it. It's really, really in-depth. It makes your brain hurt, okay? It doesn't matter how clever you are, how smart you are, how business-minded you are, how good you are in MMOs. That game is seriously, intensely detailed. They pay attention to every little thing that you can... It's just crazy. There's so much to do. You can do anything. You can become a pirate. You can just... like ship cargo for a living, and you can make your own corporation, set up your own little like base on a planet somewhere. And I think with the newer updates they improved the visuals a lot as well. You can go dogfighting, you can become a mercenary, you can I'm just saying that you can do absolutely everything. I don't know what you can do. Like, I don't know the depth of the game. That doesn't even make sense. Be quiet. But it's a great game. There's a lot to do, and with Dust 5.14 coming out, and it's going to link with EVE Online, then you got the MMO FPS players linking up with the, what could you call that? MMO space, MMO RT. I don't even know what kind of MMO that is. It's an RPG, but it's different. Anyway, EVE Online, absolutely love it. If I had money and I had time to subscribe to it and play it, I'd definitely be up in there doing that, because It's a lot of fun. I'm trying to find where Nero went now. Anyway. Then, Spider Present. I love MMOs. My favorite and first MMO was Lord of the Rings Online back in 2007. Then I moved on to World of Warcraft, which I didn't like so much. That's nice. I actually appreciate it when people don't like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is probably, I'm going to say it again, the best MMO ever made. It's just such a template for everyone making new MMOs. They have to look at World of Warcraft and think to themselves, would people even bother playing our game with a game like this out there? And I mean, I'll call it now. I think World of Warcraft's going to go free to play in the future, fully free to play. It's going to happen. Like, they're going to move on to different things, and they won't shut World of Warcraft down. They'll make it free to play. They'll add a freemium thing, like where you can buy stuff in the store, where you can use their services, and that's going to pretty much fund the costs that they need to keep the servers up. But I think World of Warcraft will go free to play eventually. Anyway, that's unimportant. That's something totally different. That's just my bit of insight as to what I think is going to happen. Then Spider Present says, never tried any of the old ones. I don't like the free to play option in all these MMOs. But it looks like it will be the future for them. Well, I should have actually waited till after that to say that. But yes, free-to-play is going to be the future. People are cheapskates. Okay, people don't want to pay for quality games, and people don't want to pay every month. You know, there are MMOs that make a big impression without being subscription-based, like Guild Wars, for instance. Absolutely amazing. Guild Wars is one of the best MMOs as well. Guild Wars 2 is going to be great too. And it can work. It can definitely work, and I like the fact that you can just stop playing for a while, come back later. I'll definitely do some coverage on Guild Wars 2 when it comes out. But I never played much Lord of the Rings Online either. I know it's free to play now, but I don't like the free to play system when there's a shop involved. I like Guild Wars free to play system, how it was back in the day. I don't know how it is now, but back in the day it was free to play, no strings attached. You could just buy the game, play it as long as you wanted, and you were on the same level as everyone else. There was no advantage to having, like, to buying items in a shop. But anyway. So, Ghost Hunter 30 says, I made it through the whole thing and listened to it like a podcast while I played WoW. That's good. That's not even really related in any way, you know, it is related, but that's actually just a bit of a tip for you guys. You don't have to sit here watching me for an hour. I just kicked the camera's tripod, but you can still just listen to it like a podcast. Why not? Then, this is a long one from Bob T. Godfish. Oh, Bob, how are you going to make me read today? I've got, let me look, that's a half a page on this one, then another full page here from Bob, then another full page from Bob, and then another 3/4 of a page from Bob, and then we've got Feno's response. So it's a lot from Bob. Strap yourselves in, guys. This is going to be a good one. I didn't read through this before, so I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm pretty sure it's good coming from Bob, but you know, this is his history of gaming one. This is for last week actually, and I wanted to cover it because I owe the guy that much. He's always got something good to say, and I have no doubt that this is going to be great. So, my history in gaming is a long one. I remember being utterly enchanted. Enchanted is a difficult word for me to read. I always think enhanced or something like that, but anyway. Enchanted by the text-based adventure games on home computers when I was young. You know, the kind that where you had to use commands like look at orc, attack orc, move east. These games always had me spinning when I got my hands on a new one. Don't know what he's doing. I never played those games. I know that there was one called Zork or something. I never played that kind of thing. I started playing, as I said last time, with Ultima 7. So, like, well, that era. I didn't start on text-based games, which is sad because I hear a lot of good things about them, and I think they can really work on your creativity. I think people who started playing on those have a much better imagination. They can, anyway, unimportant. After that, I made the transition. No, those games always had me spinning. I just read that part. I'm watching Nero again. After that, I made the transition into graphics-based home computer. I had both a Commodore 64 and a ZX Spectrum, or a ZX Spectrum. Games such as Dizzy, I don't know what that is. Don't even get me started on the amount of hours that my friends and I poured into the original home version of Gauntlet. And yes, we did speak about Gauntlet last week. Yes, I played the Valkyrie. I played as the Valkyrie after many years of my life were poured into that. Something happened that opened... Oh, after... I'm reading like a fool here. After many years of my life were poured into that, something happened that opened my eyes. I was hospitalized. No, not because of video games. he says that here. But because I was hit by a car. Oh, well, I'm pretty sure you're okay now, aren't you? I hope you are. While there, they introduced me to the NES, and I got my first taste of Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers. That's cool. Also, around that time, a friend of mine got his first Sega Master System, and I launched into the world of what was called England, what it was called in England, Alex Kidd, Wonder Boy, Lord of the Sword, and so many more. I don't know what those games are. Not a single one. That's weird. I can't believe I don't know them. Anyway, I remember this my best day, and I finally cracking the final boss of Double Dragon. It wasn't that the like Jet Li or Bruce Lee game or something. I don't know what Double Dragon is, but anyway, being the only ones in our school that did it without the invincibility cheat earned us major bragging rights. We were the kings of the nerds, and we were also 10. That's cool. I was never a nerd at 10, like I said before. Oh, actually I was playing games back then, but I don't know. I wish I was a nerd earlier in my life. Anyway, the Master System / NES era was also responsible for two big things in my eyes. Firstly, I remember right after we'd beaten Double Dragon, my friend and I finally got our hands on the Ghostbusters video game. I don't know that one either, funny enough. I'm going to try to read up on some of these afterwards and just sort of that I know what I was actually talking about here. Ghostbusters was and remains to this day my favorite movie-tied game of all time. That's not... I don't want to be mean or anything, but there aren't very many good movie games. What about Lord of the Rings Online? That's not bad. I hear. Anyway. Oh, Blade Runner. That was absolutely amazing. Did that game come after the movie, or did that movie... That was one of my favorite games of all time as well. I played Blade Runner on the PC. It was like 7 CDs or 6 CDs or something like that. But the movie was probably my favorite movie of all time. If not my favorite, maybe my top 3. Top 2 maybe even. I don't even know what the other one is, but I'm going to put it right up there. Blade Runner was amazing. The game was great fun. It was really good. Anyway. Ghostbusters was and remains. I read that. Hell, it's on the background as I'm typing it to you. Nice. Staying with your roots there. The reason this was important to me was because I learned as early as 10 years old that what system game you play on was very important. I picked up the NES, and my friend had done so for the Master System. I remember him calling me on the phone all excited, and he had just beaten the game, and even though we had already discovered that the NES game had been viciously ramped up in difficulty, I was ready to load my game and defeat Gozer that night after dinner. So he did so. I don't know who Gozer is. Oh, Gozer, wait! Ghostbusters, we're talking about Ghostbusters. Gozer is the big bad guy from the movie. I know this. I remember that movie where he opens the fridge and there's this whole other world in there, and the woman is looking all creepy. Being all seductive. I remember Ghostbusters. I do remember that. The gatekeeper, keymaster. I get it now. Okay, Gozer. And all I got was a shitty text ending. Oh, that's quite sad. That wasn't even spelled properly. Oh. Well, if the game was good, it doesn't matter. When I saw my best friend at school the next day, we compared notes on the ending. I borrowed his copy and completed it and was over the moon at the ending. Such a valuable lesson so early. That's cool. The second thing this era taught me was that movies were not the only things that could have sequels. I remember eagerly awaiting the opening of my local store on that day that Wonder Boy 3 was released. I remember rushing there after school, having saved my pocket money to buy Fantasy Zone 2. It dawns on me now that the idea of serialized storytelling might have been introduced to me via video games and books, rather than most people's introductions via TV and movies. Wow, that's pretty big actually. Because I started watching like series on TV and stuff, and movies with sequels at a pretty young age. I'm pretty sure I got that from there. But we did read a lot. My mom read to us when we were younger. She read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit to us. We were really young at the time, and it was pretty mature, but I suppose it was still quite fun. So, where was I? I can't even remember where I am now. I'm gonna have to find it. One thing that's oh, okay, I found it. Then came the big choice: Did I lay out for a SNES or a Sega Mega Drive? Genesis to most of the rest of the world. I had a Mega Drive, my friend had a Mega Drive. It was very cool. I remember standing there looking at both systems. One playing Sonic, then the SNES playing Street Fighter 2. Wait, what? A little cartoon guy or people beat the snot out of each other. I chose SNES, but it wasn't Street Fighter 2 that made the best moment of my gaming life to that point. You know what did? My introduction to RPGs. I could spend hours talking about The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I wish I had played that. I never played any of the Zeldas, sadly. I know a lot about Zelda, I just never played them. But it also brought Final Fantasy, Breath of Fire, and so many more. I played those emulated, which is pretty sad, but I did play them, at least. I played Breath of Fire a lot. It was good. And Final Fantasy, obviously. Final Fantasy is amazing. I don't need to talk about that. You know that. So many hours of my life were poured into these games, into these stories, every one of them as absorbing and engrossing as the books. I also loved the passion, each bringing new characters. I even went out of my way to get a device that allowed me to play the American and English imports of games, so I had more of those fantastic stories. The thing is, yeah, the imported games, or the Japanese and the Asian games, basically, they always generally seem to be better. I've got orange juice. They put a lot more heart and soul into their games. Funny enough, orange juice is very bad to drink when you're trying to talk, because it actually, for some reason, it sort of acts like milk, and it'll make your throat mucusy. You don't need to know that, do you? It's not good. Anyway, it's not going to bother me at all. So, one thing the SNES taught me was my emotional connection to the stories, and the example I'm going to use in this one is not one strange to many people. There was a moment in Final Fantasy VI where Kefka kills General Leo. This is probably a spoiler. Sorry. I was like, holy crap. Then Kefka, that rat bastard, goes on to poison the water supply of an entire town, and you gotta watch them die one by one. I read that very badly, but you get the idea. I was horrified. It certainly made... he made a bit of a typo. There are a few typos in here, sorry. It's fine, Bob. I don't mind. It certainly made his defeat at my hands all the sweeter. I was actually really emotionally linked to the Final Fantasy stories too. I gotta say, I was really keen to see what was happening. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 mostly. I know they were later in my lifespan, but they were really, really engrossing to me. Then after that, there was somewhat barren stage of my gaming life, so I took a year or so to focus on school and finish my exams. Wow. By the time I got back, really only the PlayStation and N64 left standing. The Saturn had already been kind of choked into submission. The Saturn didn't really have a very long lifespan, sadly. I spent some time deciding which system to opt for. Did I stick with the good old Nintendo or take the jump and lay my money on the upstart newcomer? That newcomer did pretty good. After looking at the catalogue of games, I ponied up the money for the PlayStation and decided I'd save for the N64 later. And again, my gaming went into overdrive. These games really blew my mind. The Breath of Fire series were continuous, and while one of the most cliche things ever, it also had Final Fantasy. I'd love all the previous entries in the series, and then I played 7. It was like something had just jump-started something, not just for me, not just for the PlayStation or the RPG genre. It was something viral. Even my friends that never played games had heard of that game. But he's talking about Final Fantasy VII, and I gotta say, it was probably the biggest Final Fantasy to date, bigger than any of the others. It was so open-worlded as well, one of the first RPGs to ever be like that, and it was probably the best Final Fantasy. I mean, who didn't spend hours at the Golden Saucer? Who didn't spend hours breeding chocobos? It was just amazing. I actually want to go back and play it right now. You're very mean to me, Bob. Talking about Final Fantasy VII right now. Pfft, go away. Go away. Anyway, he's absolutely right about this. The game was huge. So another game that really shook the foundation was Metal Gear Solid. The stealth action in that was something unique to that point. Not actively seeking out and destroying my enemies was something so refreshing. I also loved Metal Gear Solid. I recently finished Metal Gear Solid 4. Well, by recently I mean like 2 years ago, but it was a lot of fun. Then another oh my god moment from another Final Fantasy, this time in 9, where upon visiting the Black Mage village, Vivi learned that one day he would stop. I actually had to put the controller down, step outside for a while, and it was an amazingly powerful moment. That is quite sad. Vivi is the little mage with the hat on, I think. I didn't finish. I had a problem because I played the emulated version of that, and yes, I'm not ashamed to say that. And it had a problem with getting when it asked for disc 3. I just couldn't continue. For some reason, my disc 3 was corrupt, so I never got past that. It was around this time that I made the transition back into PC gaming with games like Command & Conquer, StarCraft, Dune. I realized that all those RTS games, but there were so many more games that pulled me back into the good old PC. And then the rest is history. The PS2 and Xbox onwards, the internet, World of Warcraft, PSP, DS, Game Boy, it's all there. The annals of history, but you really asked us what our gaming history was, and here's all mine. I'm sorry, I'm bad at reading. I say that all the time. That's my history in gaming, but I don't think that there was one series of games that really deserves some spotlight. Oh, but I really think there is. Okay, sorry. I botched that one up. Monkey Island. There, I fixed it. I poured so many hours of my life into those games, all 5 of them. If you guys out there have not checked out the Telltale games, Monkey Island, and hell, all of their games, you should. I definitely have checked out Monkey Island. I played it quite a bit. I didn't play all of them, I just played random ones here and there. I also looked at the remake recently and it was quite cool as well. I remember sitting there as a 10-year-old trying to figure out the puzzles with the cannibals in the first game. The second game and its ending, all those moments in the third game with the tofu and the compass, and so many other moments of greatness. And before anyone asks, no, I wouldn't trade these memories for anything. That's a really good, wow. That's Bob T. Godfish's history of gaming. A lot of good moments. And it looks like you got around a lot more than I did. I didn't play nearly as many games or systems as that. We went straight from the TV games that I mentioned last time, straight to PC, and that was it. Not as much special. We only got our first console about 3 or 4 years ago, being a PlayStation 3 years ago. A PlayStation 3. Before that, just PC. Anyway, now, Bob T. Godfish is back. This time, this is his MMO, the one for this week, basically. So I'm sorry about the length of this, but the guys who don't want to watch it, don't watch it. You know, this is... it's a niche program right now. Okay. So, Bob T. Godfish, he gave a whole disclaimer saying that this is, like, these are his opinions, and it's a bit of a rant. He says that he's going to say some harsh stuff here that you shouldn't take, like, to heart if it's not if you're not in agreement, basically. Which is good. Speak your mind. That's fine. As long as there's not too much swearing in here. I'm going to have to bleep that out, or I'll just not say the words. Okay. Nero's been very busy today. A little background before I go off here. I work at one of the largest retailers of console and home computer gaming in America, but I'm English. He's English, wow. I'm assuming he means from the UK. And this is a fairly hot topic for me. Okay, so I hope you don't mind this little rant, but I'm getting sick and tired of the way MMORPGs and online gaming are getting interchangeable. They're not even the same thing at all. I honestly think that people who use those things to mean the same thing have zero idea of what the two involve. Well, there's a pretty clear difference between the two. I would tell you, but I've got the feeling that he's going to say it right here. We're talking about online gaming and MMORPGs, okay? Oh, and by the way, this is just Bob's opinion, so if it pisses anyone off, well, sorry. So there you go, you have it again, there's the disclaimer. And I gotta say right now that Bob said he works in retail. So, well, he works for one of the largest retailers, so he probably deals with a lot of silly customers. And by silly customers, I mean people who don't know much about gaming. So he probably has quite strong opinions on this. Hey boy, he's very wet here. Don't get too wet, boy, you're gonna get a cold. Can dogs even get cold? Just don't get sick. Okay. Okay. An MMORPG is something about extended character development, becoming attached to a persona, finding a group of like-minded individuals to extend that into a deep relationship of coordination, and for some, closer to a family. Online gaming is what people do when they sit down and fire up Call of Duty map or StarCraft 2 game, and have to listen to smack-talking 13-year-olds So wait, I have to read this properly. And have to listen to smack-talking 13-year-old snot-nosed smegheads running their mouth and trash-talking. I don't even know what that is, but that sounds really bad. Well done. Well done. Funny enough, you get that a lot in MMOs nowadays too. I don't know if you're going to say that next, but you do get that a lot in MMOs. In World of Warcraft specifically, it's quite bad. Anyway, online gaming is what people do. I did say that. Now, I'm not for saying those two things are mutually exclusive. After all, look at the teams like EG, Liquid, Final Boss, Instinct, or many others like that. I'm not saying that you don't find 13-year-old casual bads in MMOs either. Okay, so he did say that. I was jumping the gun. I think that the experience that the terms offer... Sorry, I take long to figure out typos and figure out how to say them. I think that the experience that the terms offer, even if you only trim it to an MMO... Far too often, someone comes into my department and picks up a copy of Call of Duty for the PC and is like, nice, this is an awesome MMO. To which I reply, no, it's set up for online gaming. The term MMO refers to something that has a consistent ongoing world that is not only dynamic, but, next page, but fosters ongoing social interaction with the same group of people. Something like that, it's entirely possible that you'll never see the people that you just played that skirmish with. I think he means, or scrimmage with, I don't know if that means skirmish, but he basically means that, I read that badly, but you might just not see those people ever again. But if you log into World of Warcraft, you go stand around in Orgrimmar, the chances are you're going to see the same people more than once. Anyway, okay, sorry, rant mode is off. It just annoys me that I can pay $59.99 for Call of Duty Black Ops and be done with a single player campaign in less than 7 hours. Are you effing kidding me? You seriously charge me that for a game that is hinging on its online gaming? Hey developers, wake up. I'm not going to shout that. That's in caps. I'm not going to shout it though. Some of us work in jobs where we get paid to smile and nod at idiots for 90% of the day, and when we go home, the last thing we want is to deal with preteen... I'm not going to say that word, that A, shouldn't be playing the game that their parents said it was okay to play, and B, are just going to talk smack when you ace them 10-0. Good for you, acing those preteens 10-0. Some of us want an immersive experience, and people wonder why BioWare and Bethesda sell so well. There are a lot of companies that sell well. BioWare and Bethesda, they're great storytellers, they're great RPG makers. Anyway, back to the point at hand, MMOs. I have turned my hand to many MMORPGs in my life, and the undeniable winner is WoW. I know it's a bit corny and more than predictable, but in that game I found the best group of gamers in my guild. Big shout out to the Radical Dreamers on Misha US. Now you know where he plays. Stomp. You're not going to crash the server from watching my Lumin Weekly. I'm not Swifty right here. It's not going to happen. And I found lore and story I could really get behind and sink my teeth into. That's another thing. You can really get behind a WoW story if you pay attention to it, if you actually immerse yourself in the world. I do that, okay? When I play WoW, my favorite part of WoW is actually leveling. Funny enough, I don't like raiding. I like making a new character, making it my character, getting a nice name for it, setting it up the way I want it to look, and then taking my time and enjoying the leveling process, enjoying the areas that I go through, enjoying the progression. It's a different way of playing, but that's just what I like the most. For some reason, when I get it maxed out, I enjoy it for a little while, but I get so totally bored of like grinding away at dungeons to get honor points, to get valor points, justice points, whatever they're called now, grinding PvP to get honor points, to get PvP gear. That kind of thing just doesn't work for me. I like PvP. I absolutely love PvP, but the fact that you have to grind so much to even be competitive in PvP, yes, I know, I can rant about this for a long time as well. Sorry, I'm not going to do that now though. I'm going to get back to this. So, it made me care a lot more about my character. I'm going to go into reminisce mode here for a second, but when you fight these major lore characters and you strike that killing blow and Arthas or Illidan fall before your blade, it was so satisfying. Hell, in Cataclysm, I was going into Deephelm for the first time and Thrall said, "Corbin, I've been waiting for you." I can't say Thrall's. I have heard... Thrall said, "Corbin, I've been waiting for you. I have heard much about you." I freaked the hell out and I was like, that's effing Thrall and he knows my name. Loregasm. That's cool. and some of the atmosphere that game built. I'll always remember Karazhan, dear Kara. That is the best raid that's ever been made. A bunch of us, 10 of us, we had a 10-man guild back then. That's when I played seriously, like proper hardcore. That was my proper raiding days. And I didn't raid that much, but we raided like 2 or 3 times a week with a bunch of South African people. It was a lot of fun. We weren't great, but I really enjoyed Karazhan. Absolutely amazing instance. So good. Probably one of the best that Blizzard's ever made. So, and it's sad looking at the new ones. I just don't think they compare anymore. The best raid in the game, even if Prince having Gorehal made no sense. My raid group and I ran that place every week religiously in TBC and never got tired of it. It was such a great time to be had. That's true. That is really true. I'm gonna have some orange juice. Cheers. Nero's so busy today. Anyway, I'm droning on. Especially since you said you would look at my retro gaming memories in this week too. Oh goodness, Bob. Oh goodness. Some of the other MMOs I've turned my hand to include PlanetSide. PlanetSide was pretty cool. DCUO, also nice. EverQuest. I didn't play very much EverQuest. The original EverQuest, not really. I did try it out, but it was so old when I tried it out that it was so different. Ultima Online, I did try out not the other day, quite a while ago. And I gotta say, that game had so much going for it. Like, it was so much fun. But that also comes down to the community and stuff like that. But anyway, Rift, Final Fantasy XI, and many others besides that. And I know maybe others will have the same answers, and yes, I'm going to be playing Star Wars: The Old Republic. In fact, there should be a Luminian Luminite guild. There should be. I'm really keen to start something like that, but I can't right now. I can't devote any time to an MMO because I just don't have enough of it to be seriously involved in that. But if other people are keen for it, I'm pretty sure I'd do something like that. I'm not sure about Star Wars: The Old Republic yet. I wish they'd give us more. I really wish they'd give us a little bit more information about the game, a little bit more to go on. I just think that there's not very much of it yet, and I think it's still coming, obviously. I can't say that it's like the game is good or bad just yet, because I want to see more about it, but yes, I'm definitely going to pick it up and try it. I can't say if it's going to be the game for me, but I want to try it. Anyway, my question for you comes to the point of hotkey MMOs versus other systems like DC Universe Online. Do you think that the hotkey MMO, that's press 1, cast fireball, etc. MMOs are ever going to be able to reach a pinnacle to the heady heights of WoW? This is not... I'm just going to read the whole question first. Let's see. This is not me starting a conversation about WoW, but about the genre. I mean, Rift was fun, but it really felt a bit hollow. And I wasn't learning many of the new mechanics, whereas the active combat with the mouse clicks and the like from DCO never felt fresh. DCUO, sorry, I'm butchering that word. So there we go. I'm not going to read that afterwards. You know, the whole difference between those two, I feel that they both have their target audience. I don't think that people who are religiously playing WoW, like, basically, I think it's a stepping stone. I think that games like DC Universe Online are there to get people into MMOs because they take a different approach to it. They take a more action-orientated approach, and I mean, looking at your question here, you probably pretty much think the same thing. Let me just look at this again quickly. That's the thing. It's very difficult for any MMO to compare to WoW. The sad truth is that it'll always be that. You'll always take an MMO, a new one that comes out. I mean, hell, when the Old Republic comes out, that's the first thing people are going to do. They're going to compare it to World of Warcraft. And that's just because it's become sort of a benchmark for MMO gaming, for MMORPGs, for anything like that. And I think that the other MMOs have their place. And if you go back into something like that, DC Universe Online, I'd compare it to something like PlanetSide or PlanetSide 2 that might be coming out soon. In the same sense that it's an MMO, or that Dust 514 I was talking about before, in the same sense that it's an MMO that can act as a stepping stone. It's not a hardcore game. It's something you can pick up and play like an arcade game, like an action game, but at the same time you can have that persistent online world. And no, I don't think that they're going to ever be the same as World of Warcraft. You have your hardcore MMOs, you have your super hardcore MMOs, like stuff like Darkfall, and I feel EverQuest falls in that category. where fanboys will play it, people who are really big fans of the series or want something totally different, who want to try something totally different will play. But I think World of Warcraft is always going to be, like, for a long time at least, going to be one step ahead of everyone else. And I think that's fine. I think games like DC Universe Online have their niche market, have their place. And I played a lot of DC Universe, and I can say that I enjoyed it. For someone like me who doesn't play very much, I play games, but I don't spend hours and hours raiding, I don't spend hours and hours grinding PvP. I think that those games are really good, and the developers just need to realize that they must focus on different things when they're making their games. They shouldn't try go halfway. They shouldn't be scared to take risks. Another sort of example of this was, I don't know if you guys played Tabula Rasa. This was made by Richard Garriott, the guy who he actually made Ultima. Like, he was the Ultima series creator, Lord British. You must know who he is. If you don't, read up about that. But he started up Tabula Rasa, and he, I feel, went sort of halfway with it. He tried a new concept that sort of hadn't been around for a while. I feel that it was really good. The game's story felt solid. It felt like it had a lot of potential, but it failed utterly and completely, and it shut down a little while ago. I picked it up for a little while. I played it for a little while, and I really enjoyed it. But I think that there could have been a lot more, and I think that it failed because he went halfway, because he wasn't sure enough with his decision. He didn't take that leap of faith and try something totally different. He didn't make the game something totally different than World of Warcraft, and it failed in that sense. And I think that people like DC Universe Online, for instance, it's a lot of fun, and people should realize that MMOs don't have to be hardcore, and they don't always have to compete with World of Warcraft. I mean, it's difficult, but the developers are scared of that kind of thing. And that's where games like, and this is not really MMOs, but games like Minecraft, it's not MMO at all, that's why it was so successful. He thought that Notch, or whoever made the game, thought so outside the box that he came up with this idea, going totally with the retro graphics, a totally different theme. I mean, who thought building stuff with blocks would have been so good? And I know this came from other games. The idea wasn't his originally, but he took that idea, he crafted it into something that was so different that it filled a spot in people's gaming lives that hadn't been touched before. And people who make MMOs need to do the same thing. They need to try do something like that. It's sad. It's very sad that they don't. And I don't think the games aren't going to reach the pinnacle that WoW has. WoW has so much polish, it's such a good game that every expansion that they release from here on out is just going to get better and better. And I don't mean better in the sense that the expansion's actually going to have better content or better story or better this or better that. I just mean that it's going to be so smooth, so seamless, the transition from one expansion to the next, and the fact that they still look at the retro stuff. I have no doubt that World of Warcraft might be getting some sort of graphical overhaul soon. No doubt might. Those two in the same sentence, that doesn't make sense when. But yeah, that's... I know I didn't really answer your question directly, but that's what I think about that whole thing. Then he says, so yes, there we go. And since my wife is in the background watching Wayne's World, party on, Swin. Thank you. Thank you. So thanks for the long response. I mean, I don't mind about it at all. I like talking about these. Then, Fenno. This is Fenno's one on MMO. We're nearly done. Don't worry. Well, we're pretty much done. It's just Fenno's now. Then... You can just call me Fenno, he says. In my experience is heavily skewed towards MMO RTS rather than MMO RPGs. Let's get to the next page. This is the last page of the entire thing. Don't worry. And you're going to like next week's topic, by the way. I think. It's a bit different, but at the same time, it's still going to be gaming. We're going to stick with gaming for a while here because there's a lot to talk about. I have experience in both categories. So, I should also preface this by saying that we refers to the kids in my neighborhood as a child. There were approximately 60 of us. Wow. All of you gamers? That's hardcore. My neighborhood was no one. We lived on a farm. It was just me and my sister. We had people visit every now and then, but not very often. Anyway, as a child, I had literally scores of children near my age within biking distance. So all of the games we played were played either hot seat or multiplayer style. I can already see that you probably played a lot of Heroes, if you say that. Literally all of them. Blindfolded Super Mario played hot seat with 6 or 7 other kids is probably the most fun a child can have. This is going somewhere, I promise, so stick with me. Anyway, all of our games we played interactively. Therefore, when MMOs came out, we largely ignored them. First off, Most of them were based on subscriptions, and my neighborhood was more or less an upper class slum. Okay, we already had the interactivity appeal nixed because we had so many other kids in the area we played video games with. Another reason we didn't play too many MMOs was because the internet and computers that could actually play those sorts of games, those are the good ones, were pretty expensive. I had pretty much the same thing. Our internet here was terrible. It still is pretty terrible, but it was even worse back then. You get the idea. Then, from the fires of hell and the cloudy wonderland of heaven, came the first game for the masses, for the people. It was, my friends, RuneScape. It was free to play, which was a big deal back then. We loved it, and we loved it for about a year, and then sort of just left it after we all And then we sort of just left it after we all got what we could from the free version. I was 10 by then. I had only been introduced to. I was 10 by then, and I had been introduced to my greatest love of all, a Korean movie. A Korean family moved in across the hall from me, and with them, I can't believe this is so cliche, but it's great. They brought their 11 and 16-year-old kids who played StarCraft. Come on, the Korean family moves in and brings StarCraft to America. Are you from the US? I don't know, but that's great. I burned a disc of StarCraft. Forgive me, Lord Brown. And became instantly addicted. I mean, really addicted. I played 30 hours in the first 3 days I had the game. I would play for hours and hours on the internet and via LAN. The Koreans and I got really into the pro scene. It was great. I played. That's cool. I mean, you probably then watched a lot of the famous guys play back in the day. I never got into that. I wish I had, but I didn't. That experience would have been great for me. Anyway, I played 30 hours. I would play for hours and hours on the internet and via LAN. Koreans and I got really into the pro scene. It was great. I played Brood War pretty much every day, and I had the fortune of playing with some very good people, including Rain Khan. Just YouTube search Hevan Khan if you can. He's really eccentric and a great guy. I don't know who that is, but it sounds cool. And I'm pretty sure he's pretty good at StarCraft. But you must be pretty good at StarCraft too, then. I'm not going to play against you, Finno. Go away. That's cool. I played Brood War a lot until the release of StarCraft 2, and I got really involved there as well. I played a bit of Counter-Strike and Halo as well, but they were just not as satisfying to me as an RTS player. My friends and I, and I'm just going to say quickly that Bob is probably like pulling his hair out at this response, because this is what Bob was talking about. These aren't MMOs, these are online games. But at the same time, it is going into the MMO part here. So Bob, calm yourself. If your wife is watching, calm her too, because she's probably getting excited as well. Now, okay, so here it says here, okay. My friends, I'm now removed from New York, so I'm speaking about a different group here, play a lot of WoW and League of Legends. For the past year, all of their lunchroom conversations have been about League of Legends, and I was always trying to interject about how much better StarCraft was. Good stuff. Tell those people, League of Legends is... I'm not going to flame it, but it's not my type of game. I'm waiting for Dota 2. If Dota 2 sucks, Blizzard Dota, who knows? My hair's in my face, I'm sorry about that. It's been in my face all along, I don't know why I see it now. But, yeah, anyway, that's it. So, I've taken some time off from StarCraft to focus on school at the moment, but I plan to play competitively again. In my opinion, MMOs are the future of gaming. Pounding an AI or vice versa is not satisfying. Sorry, I'm hiccuping. To the human mind, not as satisfying to the human mind as going head to head with other humans. Even kids' games are MMOs now. Club Penguin and that Wizard School game. Things like Free Realms. Things like... That's pretty cool, actually. I must say Free Realms is quite good. That card game, what is it called? Wizards 101, I think. Also, pretty kiddie, but still at the same time, that's an MMO, and it's very decent. I think it's good that they get kids into games like that. Free Realms can be very, very educational. I gotta say, there's a lot of stuff in there. The mini games and stuff that they put in, quite cool. Anyway, I feel as though MMOs prioritize communities. RTS communities are especially important. You can discuss strategy and execution. In RTS communities, skill is valued over what stuff you have. A lot of RPG communities. That's a very interesting point. I spend a lot of time in a StarCraft 2 channel on the Shadowfire IRC server, and we have a lot of, I'll say friends in there. Like, most of us are just online friends, but I speak to a lot of people there, and there's always strategy discussion going on, and it's a great thing. It's a great part. It's a nice thing having a community that's supportive, and not supportive, but open to discussion, open to conversation, that just sort of like wants to enjoy the game, wants to get better at the game together. I don't know. It's nice. The whole community thing is very good. Anyway, in RTS community skill, yeah, we said that. There just isn't as much to discuss in FPS communities from my experience. That's also different because I've got a friend who's really, really good at FPS games. He's probably the best Counter-Strike player in the country. All the other South African Counter-Strike players playing, watching this, whatever. I'm not going to tell you who it is, and you're probably not going to guess right, but he's definitely the best player. I don't care what you say. I just know that because when you speak to someone about a game that they know a lot about, they can speak in such a way that, well, the way they speak about it, and I'm very good at, I might not be that good at strategizing, I might not be good at talking about the strats, might not be good about, like, I might not be that good at games in general, but I'm good at listening to people and understanding what they're saying and appreciating whether they know what they're talking about or not. And I can tell you that sometimes when you're talking to someone, you can hear this guy really knows his stuff. He's sure about what he's saying. What he's saying makes sense, even if you don't know the game that well. Anyway, I'm ranting. I'm going on about something totally different here. There just isn't so much to discuss in FPS communities. So that's my opinion. Knowing that you're a Quake player, Lumin, I'd like to hear your opinion on the community aspect of MMOs. It's pretty much the same as what Bob said before. MMORPGs, World of Warcraft, stuff like that. I think community is very important if you really want to enjoy the game. Going into the game alone, not making any friends, playing all the way to 85, and just playing solo the whole time is probably not going to be that fun. Sure, I would enjoy it playing to 85, but when I get to 85, I'm probably going to get bored. And that's just the way I am. And when you get to MMORTS games, which I don't think I'd call them that, I'd say online games like Bob said, like StarCraft, I think the community is also very important. As I was saying before, it's nice to have a bunch of people you can talk shop with, theorycraft with. In FPS communities, they tend to have a lot more smack talk, a lot more younger players there. I think that some of the communities are slightly more matured now, especially the Quake community, especially the Counter-Strike communities, because of the fact that they're older games, they've been around for longer. But it also makes a big difference. You know, having a sparring partner in a game like Quake is really, really good. I told you in the previous one, I spent hours and hours playing against the same people when I was younger, and I obviously improved immensely just because of that. So, sorry if that was boring. Thanks for listening. That's the end of it. That's the end of all of them. Stack of paper done. Amazing. I'm going to drink some more orange juice here. And there's that dove again. So, that was it. Thank you very much, Bob and Fenno. And thanks for the people that actually sat through this and watched it. Because, I mean, I feel that it's quite a commitment to sit for an hour and listen to something like this. So I'd recommend you do the podcast kind of thing, just alt-tab it. The only interesting part was the start when Nero was running around. The rest of it was just my face. So, I could actually theoretically just do this in front of my computer as well and have gameplay footage going or something. But I like getting outside a little bit every now and then. Anyway. My topic for next week. There's a lot of talk about Diablo 3 going around because of the fact that this August 1st reveal is coming. The press event is actually on the 27th of this month, and on August the 1st they're going to reveal all of this stuff to the public. So I could have done this next week because I think there's still a week before it happens, but I'd rather want to talk about it this week. And next week's Lumin Weekly might be a bit late because there's Polar Fluke next weekend. And as you know, Polar Fluke takes up a large chunk of the weekend. I might not be able to record it till Monday. So don't worry about it. It'll be there. And I'll answer your questions. So the topic this week is Diablo 3's beta. It's beta, who cares? Diablo 3's beta. So you can tell me what... The question I'm asking you guys is, what do you want from the beta? What do you expect from the beta? What do you think is going to be in the beta? So, do you want spoilers in the beta? Would you prefer to wait for the full game to come out? This is the kind of thing we could have discussed in the Diablo Pulse episodes as well, but I feel it's something you can go a lot more in-depthly into. You can talk a lot more about it than has been spoken about before. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to give us one act? Do you think we're going to get all the classes? I think we'll get all the classes. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Are we going to have access to all the systems in the game? Will we be testing the followers, the trading system that might be revealed soon? Will we have access to the arenas? Will there be more than one arena battleground to fight in? Do you think that they're going to cut out major pieces of the beta's like content just to be able to prevent the spoilers from like getting out on the internet? Do you think there's going to be a heavy NDA in place? Do you think that we're going to be limited in that sense? Basically just a discussion about the beta, what's coming, what you expect, what you want from it. Do you expect to get into the beta? That's another question. I think a lot of you do you expect, sitting there at home now, that you're going to be one of the lucky people that opted in and got a beta key? I mean, I sure hope I'll get a key. I don't even know. But it's a hot topic at the moment. And I'd like to hear what you guys think. Do you think you're going to get in? Do you think you're going to enjoy it? If you get in, do you want to play? Do you want to save it? Savor the fact that... not savor the fact. Do you want to save your excitement for the full release of the game? But basically, you understand what I'm saying. And at the same time, the questions that you ask me... I think I know everything there is to know about Diablo at the moment. You can ask me absolutely anything about the Diablo beta. You can ask me what I think about what's going to be in there. Basically anything related to what I just said. So that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys check back here soon for more. Sorry about the length of this. It's probably going to take me a year to upload. So if it did upload late, I'm sorry. It's actually Sunday, midday-ish out here. So I did record it on time. I just might not upload in time. Thanks for watching once again, and happy MMO online. No, I can't say that. No, happy Diablo 3 Beta.